Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Jill and Frank. I guess we'll give a little bit of time for people to come in or join us slowly. I don't know why it has to be this way with with those lives. Takes a little while for. Well, I guess we expect big things with our technology these days. All right. Well, without further ado, my name is Frank, and I am a Mystic coach, and I am a co-host of this show along with Jill, who unfortunately, as you may have noticed, will not be joining us tonight. I will blame it on the retrograde, and I will say that unfortunately that has gotten to her. I actually don't know. However, so I decided that because I didn't have a topic, I didn't have anything prepared in order to be alone like that. What I decided to go, I wrote a few things, and one of the things I decided to talk about was what do we do in those kinds of situations, right? So here I am. My partner says, "Hey, guess what? I won't be there for doing the live show." Hey, I've never done a live show all by myself. I'm like, whoa, what's going on, right? And so here we are, right? Now, part of the equation here is actually learning to let go of outcomes. Learning to go, hey, you know what? Like, here we go. I got to go in. I got to do what I got to do. And it's going to go the way it's going to go, right? Because I don't have that kind of choice. Now, that's something the Buddhists teach, and it's non-attachment. Now, that is a really, really, really important concept. Especially in Buddhism, but I think it's everywhere. Whenever you let go of the results, when you start doing things for the sake of doing them, now it doesn't mean don't plan anything in your life. It doesn't mean, like you can say, I want to go get this job, right? But once you're there, once you're getting the job interview, once you're, doing the training, preparing for the job, like when you're doing those steps, you don't do them for the job. You do them because you're going through the motion. Because sometimes what's going to happen is life is going to, send a curve your way. And next thing you know, say you had a 4-year training, now after 2 you're done. Well, the 2 weren't lost, right? There's something that's going to come out of that, come out of what you got. And so the outcome is not always exactly what we're after. If you live life just for the sake of living life, just for the sake of going through life, things become very different. Now, it doesn't mean, don't have big goals. I mean, I'm a coach, obviously, have as big as you can go for, right? But it just means do not let the outcome dictate how you feel, dictate how you react to life, because that's within you, that's in your power. And so letting go is a very, very important skill when it comes to that. Now, I've mentioned a few times on the show, coming from an addict perspective, when I went in recovery, one of the things in recovery that's very common is what's called the serenity prayer. And it goes like this: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, for those who are not into prayers, just get over the fact that it's a prayer. It's actually very good life advice, right? So, we're asking, like, what do I have power over? What do I not have power over? And then resolve to accept the things that we don't have power over, because it's the only thing we can do, really. And to let go, like, we got to let go the things we don't have power over, and then we have to make an effort at changing the things we have power over. Now, I'll say that 99% of the time, what that ends up actually meaning in practical life is you have power over what you're going to do, and you don't have power over what others are going to do. And that's often a big thing, right? Hey, hi, Jill. Jill is actually in our chat. So But so yeah, so the things, it's important to identify which it's going to be, right? And as you go through life, then if you know this is not something that belongs to me, this is for somebody else to fix or for somebody else to handle. Well, at that moment, you know, I gotta let it go. I can't hold on to it, right? And so now another topic I wanted to kind of talk about tonight was well, a little bit. Okay, I wanted to define what is spirituality because that's a big question that people ask. But also, I wanted to discuss how people can use spirituality as an escape, right? It's very easy to come to spiritual life and to say, "Oh, I'm looking for, something special. I'm looking for something uh, outside of me that's going to save me." Right? We're all looking for a savior. Let's face it. Uh, well, not everybody, but I mean, in some way, yes, we're all looking for the father mother figures that kind of messed up things for us for the most part, a lot of us anyways. But it's not, yeah, so there's a danger of using spirituality as an escape. And there was a lady when I was living on the streets. There was actually a lady that she told me once. She said, "Look, you have to first, before you enter, because we talk about spiritual realms, right? And we talk about like the etheric and the astral, and we talk about all those things, right?" And the thing she said to me, she said, "Look, here's the deal. You got to start by handling the material, and then you can move on to, like figuring out the other stuff." And it had stuck with me, especially I was panhandling in a subway, right? So obviously there was a context here. But, one of the things, it stuck with me. It really, really did. And that was what I set out to do. And once I stopped drugs and once I started getting my life together, that was one of the things that always resonated in my brain. It kind of went like, you got to fix that. You got to fix that. And so I did. I went, I got a job, I got many jobs, I became, general manager of a company, whatever. Like, I kind of got the, I don't know, call it success on paper. And then I went, wow, okay, that's all fairly meaningless. And so it was meaningful that I got there, but that was still not what had meaning for me. And so, spirituality, I had used spirituality to escape from my reality back when I was on the streets. But at the same time, I had learned a lot of concepts that would later serve me. And then after I learned how to live material life and, get a job and get functional on that aspect, then I could rejoin my spirituality and sort of expand on who I was. And so that is actually what spirituality turns out to be, is that it's something that always resides within us. It's something that we are. It's not something that we do. It's not something we become. It's actually a part of who we are. It's just that it's a part that we're not made aware of. Nobody teaches us about it. Nobody tells us, hey, here's this part of you, like you have an etheric body. No, it's not part of any schools. It's not part of any curriculum. And so you have to kind of find your own way. And weirdly enough, most people that get to it, for some reason, they seem to have a calling at some point, right? They seem to have something that says, hey, I got to find out about this. Like, what is this stuff? And so, that in itself should be a telltale sign that, yes, you're aware, you've been made aware of the existence of so much more. And it's the opening of a new reality. Like, it's the opening of... because we're so much more powerful than we're led to believe. Number one, we're not only made of matter, but we're made of energy, right? We're beings. I don't even want to use the term beings because we're currents of energy, if you will, and as such, it gives us a very, very fluid power. Now, when we're in the physical, we're not using that because we're using our senses, we're using touches, we're using smells, we're using, like we're basically doing everything based on our five senses. However, once we start doing, and this is why there's so many meditations that are visualizing. Once we start visualizing and entering that part of us that creates the images, now things start getting interesting and we start learning about ourselves in a way that wasn't possible before, because our subconscious communicates through images. It doesn't know words, it doesn't understand, especially negative words. And this is why mantras that are negative, I will not smoke, your subconscious will understand as smoke, or I will smoke, because it will remove the negative. So words are very tricky when it comes to the subconscious, and so building mantras, anyways, let's close the parenthesis. But yeah, I got lost. See, this is what I feared was going to happen, being alone on the show. Yeah, so it opens you to a new reality. It opens you to, because as you learn to visualize, what then starts happening, if you do it enough and you do it a lot and you do, like there's a lot of exercises that you can do that will allow you to hone that skill. And it's a skill. It's like any other skill, right? You learn to play racket, you learn to play tennis, you learn to play, I guess that's the same thing. You learn to ski. Well, you learn to visualize and to create images in your mind that you can then imbued with energies that do whatever. And this is the law of attraction. Like, this is what I'm talking about here, is the law of attraction on steroids. It's just, you can excessively focus everything that you want in life through using visualizations. Like, the more real you can make things, the more themed, the more then the better your outcomes are going to be. And the other thing about the law of attraction that people forget often is that you must remove something in order for something to come in, right? So if I'm trying to get patience in life, let's assume, like, this is what I seek I seek to be more patient. Well, maybe one of the things, like, I can go like, I want patience, all I want in life. If I don't go, I must remove anger. Oops. If I don't say I must remove my anger, or I must, or I must also start to forgive, or then I'm not doing the right thing, right? And so it's learning to manipulate those energies. It's learning to manipulate, and as you do this, as you become a more spiritual person, as you become more aware of those other levels and those other, because we exist on all those levels. And we have abilities on all of those levels that are very different than the abilities we have in the material. So people that practice Reiki actually go into using energies in a way that's very, very effective like this, because they take life energy and now they don't particularly give it focus, as far as my understanding. I'm not a Reiki master, but we've had one on the show and I've spoken to a few over the course of years. It's not as focused. It gives you a life energy, a healing energy that will actually sort of find what needs to be healed and will actually help in that respect. Whereas you can focus things a little bit more. Like in magic, what people would do is they would actually focus things using, say, the planets, right? So each planet has its own energy. So you would do things in the hour of, say, I want something that has to do with communications or with health. I'm visiting my doctor and I don't know. I need good news or something. Then I would be working with Mercury. I would be working with like that energy, the energy of communication, the energy of medicine, And so then you focus it even more. But either way, even if you're just using the law of attraction like most people just do, it has to become a knowing. It has to become, you have to be 100% committed to what it is you want, but also committed to getting rid of what needs to get rid in order to let it in. Because two things can't occupy the same space. So if you want peace, you got to get rid of war, hatred, whatever it is. So you can't say, I want to be at peace, but I would like to retain those 2-3 enemies that I really don't like. No, you have to let go of that. You have to manage to forgive those people in order to get that peace inside. And that is a very hard one. I mean, I've had people that, I went like, how am I going to ever forgive this person, right? But as you start forgiving the easier ones, you start getting better at it too. And that's that's an interesting turn of event, right? It's the same thing with boundaries and starting to express boundaries. When I started expressing boundaries, I was a wreck. I had no idea how to do that. I was like, are you kidding me? That would be so mean. I can't say no to people. And I had a therapist at the time. It's when I came into therapy from years of abuse. And she was like, well, okay, so you think it would be mean? And I was like, yeah, I think that would be mean. And she said, okay, how about for 1 week you allow yourself to be mean? And I was like, okay, you're crazy, but it might work. And I was like, all right, if it's 1 week, I can probably apologize to people after. And she said, look, here's what. You're coming back, whatever it was, Thursday in a few days. She said, here's what, be mean in the meantime. And when you come back, tell me when you were mean, and we'll see where that goes. And so I came back, and I was like, oh, I said this to this person. And she was like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? Like, you thought that was mean? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, no, that wasn't mean. Like, you were barely expressing yourself. And I was like, okay. And then I started getting, like the small. And here's the deal. You got to celebrate success. So do it small. Do say no to one person and then go, hey, wait a minute. I said no, that was pretty funky. That was pretty good. And every time you do that, anytime, it's a little coaching trick, right? Like, it's something we do with clients. Every time you have a win, you celebrate it. Now, even though it might be a tiny little thing and it might sound like, why the hell would I celebrate that? Celebrate making your bed in the morning in one way. Because here's what it does. It gives you that tiny shot of endorphin. It gives you, like, your brain goes, yay, success. And so if you pile on little successes throughout the day, your brain is going like, oh my God, we're it, man. We're on fire today. And, at this point, you've made your bed, made your coffee, had breakfast, whatever. But you've tricked your brain into thinking like, hey, man, we're on fire today. And so those are small tricks that are very important. Like, celebrate your small success. Don't just, stay there. Wow. This is all I had prepared, guys. Does anybody, hey, Jill, does anybody have any topics we could talk about? Always make the bed, says Jill, but she also said always make the bad. But here's the deal. Let's talk about bad, good. Where is it? My little, this thing, the yin and yang. How about that? Now, I was talking at the beginning of the show about letting go, non-attachment. One of the things that makes it easier, or that intertwines with non-attachment and letting go, is actually the law of duality. We get polarized on everything, humans. I don't know, for some reason, if I say this water bottle is blue, if I had any kind of numbers and viewers, I would have some that would say, no, it's not. I would have some that would say, yes, it is. It's just the way humans are. We polarize on everything, and this is what we do in our heads, though. We come across things. When I come across this bottle, I say, is this bottle good? Is this bottle bad? right? Like I want to categorize it immediately in this this duality. Now that's a trap. It's a trick, right? Because as long as we make things good and bad, then in life, furthermore, like, as we continue life, we're now hitting good and bad things. And so we become victim of our own definition of things. Yeah, that probably made very little sense to most people, but if I say electric lawnmowers are bad, I don't know, whatever it is, then when I come to the store and I'm buying a lawnmower, I may not even consider an electric lawnmower because I'll see them and I'll be like, oh, it's bad. And I'll have a reaction. Not only will I say it's bad and I don't want to buy it, and I may have reasons for that, right? But if I say it's bad, inside I have a reaction to a bad thing. And that's important. Like, we program a lot of those everywhere. And then we go around the world. Like, the world is a mirror. And so we can literally, through programming ourselves and through what we leave into the world, we can actually program that interaction to be better. I know it sounds excessively crazy, but that's exactly how it works. Like, if you give love into the world, like if you just seriously like go dedicated, like love, 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 then all of a sudden at some point, all kinds of love comes back. And it's just insane, right? Whereas if you program things to be wrong, bad, this is terrible, da 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 da, and some are, right? Some you got to get away from. I mean, if you're in an abusive relationship and you're getting beat up every day, I'd recommend leaving, not going like, hey, I don't know, but yes, we can play with our environment. Like, environment design is a huge part of coaching. It's something that I think is very important, because if you're in the wrong environment, attempting to start new projects, it's going to take you like that much more energy, right? If you're in a place where nobody's encouraging, like you're always being put down, everybody's going like, oh, dude, you're not going to succeed at this, whatever. And whatever the endeavor, like, I can guarantee you that there's probably somebody that's tried it somewhere and they've succeeded, and there's probably a whole bunch of other people that have tried it and have failed. And that's okay. That's everything. That's not, just so. Depending who you surround yourself with, your world will be completely. Every time you come up with something, people will go like, "Oh no, that's crap, man!" Like, somebody tried it and it didn't work, and it never works, and it's like, no. And failures are not the opposite of success. Failures are part of success. Like, they're just on the road to success. Failures are not a stop sign. You don't stop when you fail. You continue and you get to success, right? But people don't. And again, do it for the sake of doing it. This is why failure crushes people. Again, it's the attachment. They have to let go of the outcome. You have to go, this is where I'm going, but if I don't get there, I'll have given it my best, right? And so, I don't know, that's the way I kind of look at that. All right, well, listen, guys. I think tonight is going to be a bit of a short show because I did not come prepared with anything. So I hope this was satisfactory to you guys. Okay, wait up. Let me read Jill first, see if she gets me going again. Think about it. So that's how we manifest what we want, by imagining that we have it. Just like your mind was programmed to believe the electric lawnmower was bad. Exactly. You can manifest good by believing good and practicing good. Yes. Well, that's precisely what it is, right? But it's not just imagining it, though. It's important to imagine it. It's not even imagining it, because literally it's living it, right? when you're poor, if you're wanting to be rich, like you sort of, in a way, without being stupid, because let's remember, rich people are not stupid with money. But without being stupid, you still need to spend as if you were rich. Like you still need to be in that mindset of a rich person. Now, rich, like any other thing, is a skill. Like I've known rich people and they put in practice certain methods and it's not impossible to reach. Like people think it's like it's a thing to be and whatever. And I mean, it is and it isn't. It's not that great. A lot of them actually that I've known were wanting to scale back because they were like, yeah, this is taking all my life. And it was like, yeah, I guess it is. But anyways, so without having a, conversation on that one, but we have to become what we want to be. And it's not what we want to be, because that's the whole thing. We just have to become it. We don't want to be it. We are it, right? Like I'm not wanting that. When we did our first podcast, Jill and I, right? I mean, from that very first minute, I was a podcaster, right? There's no, I want to be a podcaster for the next 6 months. No, I'm already doing it. So why, like, I'm a podcaster. Well, when you take your first step in everything, you're it. That's it. You're it. So now do your best as that. And then fail and start over. And fail and start over and then get it right someday. Because that's just part of the process. Yeah. Live it, practice it, believe it, feel it. God, we should have Jill on the chat every night. Makes the chat come alive. But yeah, so it's to me that's what it is. And your environment, like, really make sure it's good. Make sure your environment is helping you. Make sure the people around you are helping you. I know it's a lot. It's not like everything I've said tonight. Like if somebody came out and said, okay, I'm going to do all these things like right now, today, like it would make no sense. But it's okay. Like it all comes through repetition. It all comes through, people that get into spirituality. It's funny. I think it's unavoidable. Like I think everybody will go through reading 1,000 books. And after the 1,000th book, realize that they had it all covered after the first book. But somehow it seems that process of reading the 1,000 books is important. And so, I don't know, it just works that way. But the first book had all the answers, typically. So that's the... I'll tell you one thing. All right, through my my spiritual path, if you will, or whatever, and my relationship with Source, the one thing I've come to expect from it is irony. Like everything is always like irony. It's always like this little twist or this little, you're going one direction and then it's the opposite. Like everybody talks about killing the ego, right? The ego death now. The proper path to get there is, for most of us who come in with a bruised ego, is actually to bring back our ego to health. And then we get to have an ego death. But it's like, it's always some little twist, some little opposite, ironic twist that happens, is that you gotta first heal your ego in order to kill your ego. And I suspect, I don't know where, but I'm sure it's in a lot of the pantheons have a story to express that. But I'd have to find it. Or if somebody knows it and that watches the video or that is watching right now. Now, I think 30 minutes is what we're going to get out of Franck on his lonesome there. So... listen, guys, if you came in and if you watched, like, I really appreciate it. I really, I hope you enjoyed. I hope I brought any kind of value to you. Yeah, and next time we'll have Jill with us, and maybe she'll get me going a little a little longer. But for now, I guess that's it. That's a wrap. All right, well, thanks for joining us. I think we probably have some video somewhere that we have to play for this. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. And I hope your life is full of love.